I don't think that people are gonna believe that I loved things about this show because we spent so much time complaining about it. It's not on my list, but I should reiterate that I really did love the last half of season 5 with the exception of that one episode that we're not gonna talk about anymore. The show was really finally hitting its stride then, and it would have been kind of interesting to see what they could have done with another season, but I'm glad that there's no more. We're done. We're done. We're definitely done. With that, the 5 best things that I think this show did. Starting at number 5 is adding cheating on cheating, because this is directly tying it back to Buffy. I think the best crossover was more conceptual in nature, which is that anytime things came over from Buffy, they were always so much darker and more consequence-oriented. Probably the best example of that is season 5 with the Rogue Slayer. Sure, great, you've activated every potential Slayer in the whole world, but maybe not all of them should have been. Maybe the mythical vetting process had some perks to it, like preventing completely insane people from being activated. Which isn't to say that I think that that episode completely undermined the idea of calling them all up, only that it was important and very fitting and appropriate that Angel the series took that concept and said, but wait, there's a little bit more to it than the rah-rah girl power version that you've expressed. Coming in at number 4, the character introductions. I love that both Fred and Gunn were brought in at the tail end of previous season. The final pieces of season 1 and then season 2 were about a lot of other things besides them, but in terms of the broad scope of the story, were actually mostly about getting to know these new members of the team. We had spent all this time with the characters on the show. Basically everybody on Angel by the time Gunn showed up had been brought over from Buffy. They all had these really big comprehensive backstories, and in a couple episodes, first with Gunn and then again with Fred, the show managed to bring us up to speed and make us feel like we had spent just as much time with both of these two characters as we had with all of the others. I sometimes forget that Fred wasn't there for the whole first 2 seasons. That's crazy to me. And I think that that's hugely a credit to the way that the show introduced those characters. Coming in at number 3 is the show thesis.
There's no great glorious end to all this. If nothing we do matters, then all that matters is what we do. Because that's all there is.
I was trying to think of a good way to talk about the show's successes at being conceptually driven, and I think that this is probably the best way to do that. Angel's show never really relied on its titular character to quite the same degree as Buffy's show did, by design in both of the 2 shows. So when the show made these big grand sweeping statements, they became much more accessible and they became much more about like people in general, because they had to kind of apply to the entire Fang gang equally. Speaking of, coming in at number 2 is the Fang gang in general. The reason all 3 of us gave season 2 the top spot is because this show's highlight was definitely when the Fang gang was at its peak, when they were the most cohesive, when they were working together, when they were the most like this family unit that they chose. That was far and away the show at its best. As I mentioned in the last video, the show really sucks at happiness, so they just had to destroy that, I guess. But for a hot minute there, they had built something really, really lovely and wonderful with this little created family unit. Finally, the best thing that I think this show ever did was Faith's arc. Even with my mixed emotions about this show, I would still really encourage people who love Buffy the series to watch at least Faith's episodes of this show. It was wonderfully done in such a way that you didn't need to know all of that in order to enjoy and watch Buffy, that it all worked just fine. But oh my god, did it add so much. For anybody who's not aware, I had seen Buffy the series already, but I had not seen Angel when we started doing it for this project. The biggest takeaway for me was how much I had missed out in my first watching of Buffy because I didn't know Faith's whole story. Most of her episodes are Buffy episodes. She has far more episodes on Buffy than she does on Angel, but the few that she has on Angel are so pivotal. It was mentioned in the comments that the show did a lot of really great things with redemption arcs, and that was definitely something that they tried their hands at repeatedly, but I really do believe that Faith's was the best. I know most of you probably think Wesley's is better, and that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion. This is my best of list, and on my best of list, Faith's story is number 1. So there you have it. That's the 5 things I loved most about Angel the series. Come back tomorrow and check out Lorraine's best and worst. Maybe she'll do the prompt correctly and actually tell you her 5 best and worst episodes. Or maybe she'll follow my renegade lead and just name 10 random things that she liked and disliked. It's a mystery. You gotta come back tomorrow and find out. Until then, thank you guys for joining us on this crazy ride. I think we've probably done over 300 posts across the Buffyverse. It's had its ups and downs, but it really has been a lot of fun. Obviously, we would have quit a long time ago if we didn't get some enjoyment out of it. When the going got tough, that something was mostly talking to you guys. So thank you guys for that. Bye now!